I want to talk to you about Al McCoy. So Al passed, as you know, and the story with Al has been coming out from all corners of how genuine, how many people he helped in his career, a lot of things behind the scenes and all that. You weren't with the Suns much, right? So you didn't see Al day in and day out. But I'm sure you had to have come across him through your time here in the Valley. And if you have some thoughts on Al and his life and legacy.
For sure. I mean, Brad, I was with the Suns. I was covering them about 2000, some great years, some great seasons, 2007 until about 2012, rotating in as a sideline reporter. But oddly enough, it was more, I feel like on game day, we were all just doing our business. It was more the interactions that I had with Al McCoy at different events and just now hearing all the stories. It's the same man that I always knew, just incredibly kind and a very thoughtful guy and just a very a guy that everyone's like, it's Al McCoy, he's a legend, but he never gave off the vibes of, I mean, we all know in this business it's easy to have an ego or something like that, and certainly Al McCoy could have done that. His voice being the soundtrack of Suns games for so long, and yet just an unassuming man who was so kind and so joyful all the time that you saw him. Just you could tell he loved what he did. How else do you do it for 51 years?
Right.
And it was always amazing to me, just from the standpoint of how at 89 years old was he still so terrific at his job, and so just an unbelievable. When people say he is the one of one, he's the only one, there is only one Al McCoy. And we were so lucky to have him on the call. I mean, I did not grow up here, but to so many people he is so special to them because they listen to him all their lives. And I just he lived a fantastic life. It is so sad that we won't have him with us, but it's more about celebrating 91 years of an amazing man who so many people loved because of what a great human he was.
I called Al a couple of years ago and said, let's get caught up on lunch. And we met at the Henry in downtown Phoenix. And we walk in together and you could see people's heads turn. We go over and we sit in the booth and we have lunch. And a few people stop by just to say, I've loved listening to you through the years, so on, so on, so on. Then we get up to leave, and most people that were sitting at the bar or coffee area at the Henry stopped him and wanted autographs and wanted pictures. And it's almost as though he knew that that was going to happen. And the way that he went about it just that day, and the way that Al, through the years, when I got here in 93 and I did the Suns pre and post for years, and I would see Al and how he went about his preparation and his business. And Jody, when someone is really in love with the craft, they do the craft. If someone's sitting there saying, I'm just going to get a check, they're pretty much just going to get a check. And in our industry. And Al, never once did I see him not show up for games saying, oh, I got another game tonight, or any of that stuff. And win or lose, you couldn't tell. The ultimate compliment on my end, Al, was I could never tell tuning on a game if the Suns were winning or losing. I couldn't tell. And if the
Yeah.
Suns were bad, he would say they were bad. And if the Suns were good, he would say they were good. Of course, he wanted to call a good game. Nothing worse than, being around a team that's lousy. So it was like the consummate pro being around him in all facets.
Yeah, he was a guy that would be very honest, and I think that was a great quote that I saw, was that he learned early on that being a homer was not going to serve the broadcast well.
Oh,
And I think that's so true. And so he let him, and he would let the officials have it, or he'd let a player, not in any mean spirit, like with players, of course. And that's the thing, is when the players have so much respect and love for him. Some of the most cherished photos I see are he and Devin Booker, who had a special relationship. And yeah, he was exactly what you said, Brad, a consummate pro, and something that's so cool that you were able to learn from him when you were doing those shows with the Suns. And I'm sure it was awesome to be around that. We all have those people in our lives, and just he's a great example for so many. But I think more than anything, he just loved what he did it for as long as he could, and that's the legacy of McCoy.
Yeah, no, that's a good way to put it. E.D. Marshall Jewelers brings you Jody Jackson and Jody Jackson's Gems. You got the gems on. Like, I like that.
I do have the gems on. The gems now, after that last road trip, hopefully there's some postseason road coming. I still feel good about that. But gosh, I always come back after a trip and it's like gotta unpack. So I was like, I gotta get the gems on today.
There you go.
And magically it just is the Monday is better.
We'll see you next week. Appreciate the visit.
All right, thanks, Brad.